Have you ever wished you had like a magic remote control for all your computers? You know, one button that could update software, tweak settings, and just keep everything perfectly in sync? Well, believe it or not, that's kind of what we're talking about today. We're going to pull back the curtain and demystify a tool called Ansible. All right, so let's just dive right in. I want you to picture a problem that I bet sounds pretty familiar. Let's say you're responsible for 10 computers, just 10. But that means 10 machines that need updates, right? 10 machines that need new software installed, and 10 machines that have to be configured in exactly the same way. Ugh, it's a total pain, isn't it? I mean, doing that one by one, that's your whole day gone, for sure. But what happens when it's not 10 computers? What if tomorrow your boss says, hey, now it's 100, or next month it's 1,000? See, now we're talking about a totally different ballgame. That manual approach, it doesn't just get harder, it completely falls apart. It's impossible. You'd literally need a whole team of people just to tread water. There's gotta be a better way, right? And that right there is what we call the many computers problem. It is the exact reason that tools like Ansible were even invented. So the big question is, how do you command a whole army of computers without completely losing your mind? Well, let's get into it. Okay, so this is where Ansible steps onto the stage. And honestly, the best way to think about it is right here. It's like a magic remote control. Seriously. You write out your instructions one time, and then boom, you hit the button, and every single computer you manage follows those instructions perfectly. No more logging into one machine, then the next, all that's gone. So how does this so-called magic remote actually work? Let's break it down with a really simple story that I think makes the whole thing just click. I want you to imagine a big, shiny kitchen, and it's filled with robot chefs. Lots of them. And your job is to get all of them to bake the perfect chocolate chip cookie. Now, you could go to each robot one by one and teach them the recipe, or you could just write the recipe down on a single card, stick it on the wall, and they all just know what to do. It's simple, it's elegant, and man, is it efficient. Okay, let's connect the dots here. Your computers? Well, those are your robot chefs. In that recipe card we talked about, in the Ansible world, we call that a playbook. It's really just a simple file with all your instructions. So you run the playbook, and all your little computer robots get to work at the exact same time, following the exact same steps. And the result? You get a perfectly consistent batch of cookies or, perfectly configured servers every single time. All right, so that's the analogy. It's a great way to wrap your head around the idea. But how does this actually translate from a kitchen full of robot chefs to the real world of servers and code? Let's bridge that gap right now. Okay, this is the aha moment. This is where it all snaps into place. See, every single part of our robot chef's story has a direct real-world counterpart. That address book with all your robots' locations, in Ansible, that's your inventory file, just a list of your computers. The recipe book, that's your playbook file. The specific steps in the recipe, like add flour or mix eggs, those are your tasks. And that big magic button to get it all started, well, that's just you typing a simple command in your terminal. It really is a one-to-one mapping. And here, check this out. This is a peek at what a real-life project structure actually looks like. This whole setup is designed to patch servers, which is just a techie way of saying it keeps them secure and up-to-date. And you can see all the pieces we just talked about, right? There's the inventory, the playbook, the specific tasks. Everything has its own neat little home. When it's all laid out like this, it's kind of beautiful, isn't it? Now, you might have noticed something interesting on that last slide, that the tasks were tucked away in their own separate folder. That is not an accident. That structure is actually super important. So let's talk about why that is and get into how the pros organize their magic spells. I mean, their Ansible projects. Okay, I know what you might be thinking right about now. Why bother with all these extra files and folders? Can't I just cram everything into one giant file and call it a day? And look, that's a totally fair question. But trust me, there's a really, really good reason we don't do that. Let's use another analogy. Think back to organizing a school bag. You could just shove all your notes for every class into one massive notebook, right? But it would be an absolute disaster, a chaotic mess. That's why you have separate notebooks for math, for history, for science. Well, in Ansible, we do the exact same thing with something called roles. Think of each role as a dedicated notebook for a specific job. It just keeps everything organized and easy to find. So what's the big deal? Why go to all this trouble? Well, first off, it creates a super clean structure. Anyone on your team can jump in and immediately understand what's going on. Even better, these roles are reusable. You build a role to, say, install a web server once, and you can reuse it on 10 servers or 10,000. And that's the real magic right there. It's how you build big, reliable systems. It's team-friendly, it's easier to test, and frankly, it's just how the pros do it. It makes your life so much easier. Okay, we've covered the what and the how. We've got the analogies, we've seen the structure, but let's talk about the why. What is the real, tangible payoff for all this? Let's talk about the incredible, mind-blowing result of automation. This right here is where it all pays off. Just look at the difference. On one side, you've got 10 hours of your life spent on tedious, stressful, error-prone manual labor. And on the other side, it's gone, replaced by a 5-minute, hands-off, fully automatic process. Think about that. No more stress, no more typos that bring everything down, just peace of mind. It's not just an improvement, it's a complete game changer.
10 hours down to 5 minutes. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That isn't just a small improvement. We're talking about a 99% reduction in the time it takes to do the work. This is a fundamental shift in how you operate. Honestly, it's like gaining a superpower.
So, I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. If you could get 99% of your time back from all the boring, repetitive parts of your job, what would you do with it? What bigger, more interesting problems would you solve? What cool new things would you build? The possibilities are just endless. And that, right there, is the true power of automation.